My wife ignored me at her book club party, then got mad when her friend finally noticed me. My wife made me go to her book club's holiday party at Monica's house. She said she wanted me there for moral support and to be social for once. I didn't want to go, but I went anyway. The second we walked in, Monica's place was glowing with Christmas lights and packed with people. I was still taking off my coat when my wife spotted her friends and said, "Oh my god, there they are," and walked away mid-sentence. She didn't even look back. I waited for her to wave me over. She didn't. So I drifted to the kitchen and pretended I was there for the snacks. There was a huge cheese spread, fancy crackers, and tiny little jam jars. My wife was across the room, laughing with her friends and filming stories like I wasn't even in the house. I tried once. I walked over with 2 drinks and said, "Want one?" She took the cup, said, "Later," and turned away to keep talking. One of her friends slid into the gap like a bouncer and I backed away. I went back to the kitchen, staring at the crackers like they were suddenly interesting. At one point I raised my hand a little like a silent, "Hey." She looked right past me. Then a voice behind me said, "Looks like you're having about as much fun as I am." I turned and saw Roxanne, my wife's newer friend from the group. She was smiling like she'd been bored too. I forced a grin and said, "Yeah, I'm basically the star of the party." She laughed for real. "Thank you," she said. "I needed one normal person tonight." She nodded toward the living room. "They've been arguing over a fictional guy like he's real." I snorted, and that made her laugh again too. We started talking about actual books and normal life stuff, and she really listened. She didn't do that thing where people scan the room for someone better. At one point, she leaned closer and said, "Okay, tell me the truth. Do you even like these parties?" I said, "No, but I like my wife, so I try." Roxanne made a face and said, "That's honestly kind of sweet." When someone bumped into me, she steadied my plate so cheese didn't slide onto my shirt. "Careful," she said. It was a tiny thing, but it felt like someone noticed I existed. After a few minutes, she said, "Your wife told us you write." My stomach tightened. My wife had never asked to read anything I wrote. Last month, I told her I won a small contest, and she just said, "That's nice," without looking up from her screen. So hearing it from Roxanne felt strange. "I write, yeah," I said. "She talks about it?" Roxanne's smile shifted. "She mentioned it once," she said. Then she added, softer, "Honestly, she doesn't really talk about you much in meetings." That landed hard. Not because it was shocking, but because it sounded so normal. Like I was some random detail, not her husband. Roxanne saw my face and said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." I swallowed and said, "No, it's fine." It wasn't fine. Across the room, I caught my wife glancing at us. The second she saw Roxanne leaning close to hear me over the noise, my wife's smile went tight. She looked away fast, then laughed too loud at something that wasn't funny. Roxanne noticed and said, "Well, looks like she finally remembered you exist." I kept my eyes on my plate, but my hands were shaking a little. Roxanne leaned in and said, "I always wondered what her husband was like." Then she paused and added, "She acts single sometimes." My face got hot. I said, "I'm right here." Roxanne's eyes flicked to my wife again. Then she said, a little louder, like a dare, "Maybe we should give her something to actually notice." I didn't have time to stop her. Roxanne turned toward the room and said loud enough for the nearby women to hear, "Forget about her tonight. He's with me tonight." Conversations dipped, and then my wife was suddenly beside us, fast and stiff. Her face was red. "What did you just say to my husband?" she snapped. Roxanne lifted her eyebrows like she was innocent. "Just keeping him company," she said. "Since you were busy." My wife grabbed my arm, hard. "We're leaving," she said. I looked at her hand on me and said, "You haven't talked to me all night." Her eyes flashed. "Now!" she hissed, and yanked me toward the front door. Monica called, "Everything okay?" My wife didn't answer. Outside, cold air hit my face, and she walked fast to the car. The drive home was silent. Near our street, she finally said, "I can't believe Roxanne flirted with you like that in front of everyone. It was humiliating." I turned to her and said, "How would you know when you ignored me the entire night?" She opened her mouth, then closed it as we pulled into the driveway. I said, "You didn't notice me until someone else did." And she gripped the steering wheel so hard her knuckles went white, staring at the dashboard, breathing fast, blinking like she was trying not to cry, with nothing to say, not even looking at me. Now she's saying I disrespected her by talking to Roxanne. Was I wrong?